late is better than never at all, right? Maybe that's the rationalization that Carolina Panthers fans are feeling right now or thinking about, is that, yeah, it took too long, but at least it finally happened. What happened am I talking about? Well, that, of course, is the end of the Matt Rhule era. Fool, in this case, being spelled R-H-U-L-E, Matt Rhule, the Fool. That era has ended after 2 seasons and 5 games of total and utter destruction in Carolina. And you're going to get pissy pantsed and say, it wasn't that bad. He fucking sucked. It was a stupid hire. And especially by the time you got to the first offseason, like after he'd been hired, that first draft, like you had to know there were lots of dumb dick tendencies there. Did you not? Like, how could you not know? Is my question. I mean, I get it. The Carolina Panthers and their ownership said, hey, we need a big splashy hire. We got to try and do something. They had money burning a hole in their pocket, and they say, we really like this guy. We're going to bring him from the college ranks. Good luck with that. And to Matt Rhule's credit, like, it was the best career decision he ever made to leave Baylor and join the NFL. Because if you think about it, that man got paid a whole hell of a lot of money to a whole hell of a lot of suck. Furthermore, he's got, over the next, 4+ years now? Because he didn't even make it through 3 years of the damn contract. He's got a $40+ million golden parachute sitting there waiting for him to do nothing. So if he never wanted to do anything again, he wouldn't have to because he's got 40+ million reasons to not give a crap. Just sit there and eat nachos and get even fatter. I mean, wouldn't a lot of people do that? But of course he's probably not because, the football coaching gene is a genetic thing and he wants to make even more money, which fine. He's got that 40+ million in the bank, like even if there's offset language in the termination, in the contract for him to go somewhere else to get a job. He's going to have tons of leverage and he's going to be a hot head coaching candidate on the college level. So he's probably going to be able to command $10 million a year for a somewhat big-time program. It's absolutely not a disincentive for college coaches to go to the NFL level. If anything, it's a greater incentive because you go try it. You try to be a coach and be successful at the highest level there is, which is the NFL. If it works, oh my God, even better. If it doesn't, you go back to college. You don't lose any of your earning power. And in fact, you've gained some. Even by absolutely sucking like Matt Rhule the Fool did. Nice work if you can get it, I guess. But what went wrong there in Carolina? Well, a lot of things. Number one, to me, maybe the Carolina fans that watch every single game will talk more about the intricacies of the game plan and execution and X's and O's, and that all plays a factor. Because bottom line is, under Matt Rhule, they're freaking 5-11 in 2020, 5-12 in 2021, and started off 1-4 this year. So obviously all of that sucked. But I look at the bigger overarching picture here. And that this was a guy that had no clue what the hell game he was in. He was in the NFL, which stands for not for long if you were going to put all of your chips on the defensive side of the ball and you're going to try and patchwork half-ass the quarterback position. It's the perfect epitome of, this guy's in over his head. This guy doesn't understand the game he's playing. This guy has no fucking clue and he's not going to be successful and he's not going to last based off of the approach in the offseason via free agency, via the trade market, and via the draft. Like you look at him in 2020. When the Carolina Panthers need a long-term answer at the quarterback position, they go out there and give decent money to Teddy Bridgewater. He's probably thinking that this guy is going to be the dude, and Bridgewater was going to be nothing more than a stopgap. That's what he is at this stage. That's all he is. That's all he's ever going to be, frankly. So Matt Rhule, the Fool, put quite a bit of chips in the Teddy Bridgewater drink. And then in that 2020 NFL draft, just think about how stupid this is. For a team that had needs everywhere, in a league where you were talking about now, even in that division at the time, going into that 2020 season, you had fucking Tom Brady now, because he had joined the Bucs, right? You have Drew Brees at the end of his career, but he's still Drew Brees, and you still have Matt Ryan. And you're going to roll up against that with Teddy Bridgewater and then invest all of your draft picks on the defensive side of the ball for 2020. Not even really making a concerted effort to try and maybe move up the draft board a little bit. See if the Lions don't want to take Okuda at 3 and might be willing to peel back and you go draft a Justin Herbert or shit at that point, even a Tua Tagovailoa. Or maybe the Giants are willing to risk moving back from 4 and not getting Andrew Thomas. Like, the fact that you didn't get it done means you didn't try hard enough to get it done. That's the reality. And then to circle back and spend every single one of your damn picks in your first draft on the wrong side of the ball indicates you're a fucking moron. But wait, there's more. Instead of realizing the patchwork, I'm going to go for the retread, failed starting quarterback approach, doesn't work, so I'm going to maybe draft and develop a young quarterback, which is what you would expect a coach like this to do with the type of long-term contract security that he had. Do it right. Like, take your time. No, he goes out there and trades a bunch of picks for fucking Sam Darnold. Sometimes it is very important to ask yourself the question, why is this guy available on the trade market? The New York Jets haven't even reached the end of Sam Darnold's rookie scale contract, and they're already willing to dump him so they can draft Zach Wilson. That's got to tell you something. That certainly tells you something about Sam Darnold. Not to Matt Rhule, R-H-U-L-E. He said, nope, we're going to trade for Sam Darnold, give up a couple of picks to do so, and then by God, my first pick's going to be a defensive player. You fucking idiots. Like, even if you say, well, most of the rest of that draft was spent on offensive players, at that point, it doesn't matter. You've missed the freaking plot. Because you've had 2 drafts you failed to address the quarterback position, 2 drafts where you really failed to invest heavily in that offense, and an offense that was going to need it. So by the time you circle around to 2022, you've got a chance. Maybe you go sell the farm to go bring in a Deshaun Watson. You don't get that done. You don't draft a quarterback until the 3rd round of Matt Corral, even though it was a weaker quarterback class, I'll acknowledge. Like, now you're addressing the offensive line with Ekwonu in the 1st round. It's too late. The whole philosophy, the whole approach was stupid. It was doomed to failure from the very beginning. The only mistake that I feel the Carolina Panthers made as an organization was that reality was staring them in the face. You had a 5-11 and a 5-12 season, both of them not with a young quarterback. Like, why hadn't you seen enough of Matt Rhule at that point to say, you know what, this is a sunk cost. We got to get out from under this now. I realize that it's easier said than done because it's not my money you're talking about. You're talking about $40+ million of the Panthers ownership money there. But goddamn, at some point in time, you got to realize, like, this ain't it, son. At least they finally did. But, of course, they waited. So now you're going to play out the string the last 12 games of the year, creating some false hope for Steve Wilks, that he might be able to get a consideration for the job long term. And I'm happy for Steve Wilks, because in some ways, he was terrible in Arizona that 1 year, but he got hosed because he only got 1 year. Like, he was bad, but I'm really happy that he's going to get a second chance to do it, and maybe the Panthers will respond and play better, because I certainly don't think that the Panthers players cared much for Matt Rhule. They didn't respect him. And, like, he doubled down on the same dumb dick philosophy again at the quarterback position. Instead of trying to figure out something, he goes, I'm going to trade for Baker Mayfield now. And at the time, I said, yeah, they're not giving up much for him, so it's certainly a much better move than Sam Darnold, but that's not saying much. It's Baker midfield for a reason. There was a reason. Again, you have to ask yourself these questions sometimes, folks. There was a reason that the team that took Baker Mayfield, #1 overall in 2018, was willing to drop their pants and give up so much in terms of draft pick capital and give such an outrageous guaranteed contract to a quarterback that they passed on the rights to take not once but twice in Deshaun Watson in 2017. They would rather have Deshaun Watson with all the other shit they had to give up to get him. And we're willing to get rid of Baker Mayfield. Again, that should tell you something. So when your defense is middling, your offense stinks, you keep going the wrong approach at the quarterback position, you don't last long in the NFL, as Matt Rhule, the fool, has certainly proven. Now the question comes, who's going to be next? I wouldn't be surprised if there are other coaches fired during the season because it looks like a few of them deserve it. Maybe Ron Rivera being a notable one there. How notable the first two coaches fired were the current Panthers head coach and then the former Panthers head coach. But God, like it's a cautionary tale for NFL teams. Like, be really, really sure if you go down that college path and bring in a guy to be the head coach and give him a lot of personnel say, you better be really, really confident that guy knows what the F he's doing. Because if he doesn't, you're going to look like jackasses and it's going to cost you a lot of money. And right now, the Panthers look like jackasses for ever hiring them. They look like jackasses for giving them that much money. And they are going to feel like fools because they're giving Mr. Fool Rhule over $40 million to not do his job the next 4.5 years. That's crazy.